New episode of MatNum for November 2023. So like every month, I'll go through images from last month using my own algorithms. So basically matière numérique, digital matter. And the first three images, we're starting with three images that are kind of abstract. Basically, here's the focus is out. I'm taking a photo through the window in a plane. The picture on the left, the textures going and imposing themselves on the out of focus image are going to really give more energies and lost. The contrasts are not going to be very marked, but we're going to get the light sources and not really know what's going on behind, but it's more evocative than anything else. But also with some other algorithms which are a little bit more relying on levels and definition, we'll see those weird effects where we kind of lose the contour of the main subjects. For example, the picture on the right, that's the extreme, where we lose parts of the plane simply because it's out of focus. So that actually is giving me the idea that I might add a manual focus option on the different apps, which are Camare, Vika, Darkcam, and Digital Pola in the future, because it's kind of creative and I think it's interesting. Here's the next three photos. Again, when you don't have that much contrast in your pictures, the algorithms are going to work themselves differently. As you can see on the picture on the left, there's this kind of really abstract look from this picture, but actually the moon that's on the top right is tiny, but we do see the definition. So it's really a matter of how the algorithms resolve the original image data and how they re-express it. And here, those pictures are taken in London. That's coming from the city airport going to the center. And those eastern neighborhoods, which are kind of interesting because of the vibes, very different vibes. This month I'm going to mainly talk about the pictures I took and not about the technicalities behind. Yes, I do get many questions about what's the difference between traditional cameras and the MatNum series where I use smartphones. And I think if we look at it more in detail, besides the fact that the device itself is kind of tiny, always on you, so it's great for, like on those three pictures, for candid photography or just capturing moments in your life, because we kind of always have our phones with us. They're also a platform where you can develop your algorithms, your user experience, which I can't think of any major camera brand that lets you do that. So there's those two things. Today, maybe a camera brand lets you develop your own user experience and algorithms. That might change, but in the meantime, that's really a big differentiation. And here again, those pictures on the left. That's actually one dual photo taken from both sides of the device. So me on one side, on the right, and this marble bust that was in the Royal College of Physicians in London. You can really capture things that you wouldn't capture simply in the same way using a traditional camera. And the algorithms really add the varnish, the layering, an extra layer of matter to your picture. Which is, I think, important. That's why I developed those apps for my own practice, and many people use it. Many people use them. Here's three other examples of capturing using the phone. They're kind of way more discreet. That's obvious. Would be hard with a different kind of camera, but maybe one day most major cameras will be kind of small too, and we won't need automatically to have a phone connectivity in it. And that might actually, I used to use my iPod Touch when I started developing my apps, and it didn't have phone capacity, so it worked a little bit like a real camera. But again, here you can see the added complexity and treatment of the image really gives a different feel. And yeah, this month for the last few months, I've been using my apps in random mode because I kind of find it really interesting. And the process is very different. Here, still, I'm always in London here. Here's three images of London, basically wandering around. Very different renderings, obviously because the algorithms are very different. composed in a very different way depending on how they're combined and fine-tuned. Here again, 3 other pictures. Here what I find is interesting also is, as for using different kind of films or different cameras, originally, I'm giving this example, the picture on the left that's an insaturator I didn't really a film relator I didn't really like, which is named Papyre. I almost didn't release it, but actually I did release it, and it doesn't only add this kind of paper texture, folded paper texture, it adds lots of other ways of treating the image. But originally I didn't want to release it, but I actually got used to using it. And I think for many other kind of equipment, I think software as an equipment can be taken as a good analogy. It gets interesting. You start knowing what to expect from it and knowing what the good results are going to be, again according to your taste. Just an example. So this month is mainly showing you some of the results I've managed for the previous months. Here's 3 pictures taken basically in Hyde Park. High contrast, high definition treatment of the images. Again, I don't really know which insaturators and filmators they are. I kind of have an idea, but the combination in random mode makes them quite difficult sometimes to trace. But yeah, you will get one interpretation of reality based on the way the treatment is done. And here again, the picture on the left also evokes what's a photograph? Does it really need to be completely in phase with the real object? And what's the real object? It's a completely other discussion we could have, but digital matter, as for analog matter, I think is really something, it's kind of the same thing. It's just I'm separating serial from metronome simply because I managed my own user experience and my own algorithms using the cameras on my phone. And here again, 2 other details, the middle one and the right one, details from London. The right one is actually an algorithm, an insaturator, which is named Ondo, which was developed in London a few months back. So it came back home and took this picture. It makes those weird halos, circular halos, and I think it's interesting per se. Here we're moving out from London. The picture on the left, that's somewhere, I think, west of Zurich. And I thought this castle taken from the train was interesting. The lights kind of eerie, and the textures worked pretty well. The middle picture, that's an old volcano in Iceland taken from the plane. And on the right, I'm not really sure what that is. I know it's the sun on the top left, and it's probably the Rhone River in Geneva, but not really sure. And I think Papyre really works well here for a filmator on this picture. And it's evocation more than explicitation of the subject. In that respect, some of those filmators and saturators, when combined, really give some very, how would I say, blurry or undefined results. Like the picture on the left, that's the Alps far away. But basically the treatment kind of overrides any kind of real definition. Or the picture in the middle, this black and white picture, whereas the sun is up right, actually reverses. It's not a solarization, it's kind of a weird effect of one of my insaturators. And there's this texturing, and I think the evocation in those pictures can be pretty powerful, and I really like those two. And the picture on the right, that's somewhere in Iceland with trees. I think I know where it is, but I'm not actually sure. And that's again with the Ondo insaturator. Here again, 3 pictures. I thought the picture on the left was interesting because actually this glow in the middle is non-existent. It's just a level effect with one of my filters, which decided to make it more pronounced. I was talking about it on the first pictures of the series this month. Sometime when it's blurry or not very contrasty, the algorithms are going to have difficulties and will suddenly pop out something somewhere. And I think that's pretty interesting. It's pure digital matter per se. Again, this picture is taken from a plane. Same for the picture in the middle, where we see fields somewhere, probably in Europe. And picture on the right, that's this effect is kind of a simulation of a thermal color printer, and that's the Lake of Bienne in western Switzerland. Actually, it's at the junction between the German side and the French side of Switzerland, and I kind of like this small fall tree. Anyways, here's 3 more pictures. The picture on the left, that's the Rhone River in Geneva. Was the sunset. I think works very well with this lens flare on this phone camera on the iPhone 12 Pro Max with the tele lens. Or again, the Rhone River, the picture in the middle, but that's by night near the junction with the Arve River, a river that kind of was overflowing these last months, probably because of global warming. And a small last picture on the right, that I think is London, and it's a detail simply of a building, and I kind of liked the way it rendered, and yeah. That's about it for this month. So no real technical news, but that will be probably for next month, where I'm working on something with Digital Paula. Yeah, we'll see next month. So hopefully that was entertaining. And yeah, have happy holiday season now, and see you next year.